It is raining in August in Texas. Is this not the most beautiful thing you have ever seen in your life? Let's move inside to finish this video. The most common question sent my way is, Jason, if you were starting over, where would you start? What equipment would you start out with if you were just beginning your live streaming journey? Technically, the simplest, cheapest way to start mobile live streaming is to take the smartphone out of your pocket, hang it on the fence, and press go live. Now you're going to have to start your YouTube channel or get a place to stream to. All those things would take a little bit of prep work, but they don't cost any money. There are so many places you can stream for nothing with just your smartphone. However, that's not the nature of the question that most people are asking me. What if I told you we can build a really good mobile live streaming setup, single camera, but expandable into the future for less than $750? I'm Jason Hoffman. My goal is to help you have the confidence to just press go live. $750 is nothing to sneeze at. But the list I'm about to take you through will be quality products that will allow you to at some point expand into more than a single camera setup, more than one shot on the infield, more than that behind the home plate view. And it's going to offer you quick setup and teardown in case you have to move in between fields for the tournament ball that your kid plays. So let's look at the list. We're going to start with the control device, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you, the control device is where we're going to splurge. Control device is going to be smartphone or tablet. I'm going to suggest a tablet. The screen real estate is something that you will greatly appreciate after you've streamed a couple of games. And the tablets that are available to you that will run all the things you want to do now and be expandable into the future are going to start at $320. M1 processor, 64 gigabyte Wi-Fi only on Amazon as a renewed device, Amazon renewed, $320. The 2022 iPad Air M2 11-inch 64 gig Wi-Fi only on Amazon renewed as of today is $420. Now that's the difference between an M1 processor and an M2 processor. And the M2 is going to future-proof you a little bit better than the M1. M1 is a great processor, and it will handle everything that you can throw at it with the cameras I'm suggesting today. It might not be as there's no way around it. It's not as future-proof as the M2 processor would be. If you're not an iOS person, if you're not an Apple person, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 11-inch, 128 gigs of storage, Wi-Fi only on Amazon refurbished today is $330. So our starting place is going to give us that 11-inch screen, plenty of real estate. It's going to give us a processor that will handle multiple cameras, even though we're talking about a single camera setup. It is giving us a little bit of future proofing by splurging on the control device. Okay, now let's move to cameras. There are two options I'm going to give you in cameras today because we're going to try to keep this under $750 for the total of all of our startup cost. We'll start with the eMeet StreamCam 1. This device is going to be a 1080p, $199 live streaming all-in-one camera. On Amazon, there are both a Gen 1 and a Gen 2. There's the original listing and there's a Gen 2 listing. And my research shows that the difference between the original and the Gen 2, besides the $50 extra price tag, $199 versus $249, coupons not counted in that because you never know what the coupons are going to be. The difference seems to be the Starvis Sony sensor, which the Gen 2 has and is better for low light shooting. That little sensor was developed for security cameras, but this is a great application for it because when you're talking about inconsistent light, the ability to do low light is going to be a great benefit to you. And sometimes fields are not lit well. Sometimes what you're trying to live stream may be on a stage that is terribly lit. It may be in a venue that's terribly lit, and that single camera setup with an eMeet StreamCam 1 Gen 2, $249, should still keep us under $750 once we get to the end of our list. So there's our first option for cameras. I'll come back to that second option in just a little bit, but let's keep that running tally. If we're talking about the M1, we're talking about $320. If we're talking about the M2, we're talking about $420. So there we've got $100 to play with. That, depending on which one of those we choose, we'll get to the end of the list, and maybe you can bump up to the better one, or maybe you want to stay with the lower one and add up an accessory or two. So let's move past cameras and go on into audio. The great benefit to the StreamCam 1 is it comes with its own microphone. Detachable, yes, you can put it on your person, but this little microphone comes with a really nice dead cat on it. It comes with a wind muff that's nice and fluffy and does a pretty good job of buffeting the wind that would come across the microphone. If you find that it's not enough, set it aside, don't use it. There's a built-in microphone on the bottom. Run a wristband around here so that it covers that microphone on the bottom, and that does a really good job of keeping the wind noise out. For now, we're not adding a microphone to our setup. We're either using the one that's built on, we're using the one that's built in, and we're letting the wind be taken care of by the included dead cat that goes on the mic, or using a wristband to go around the camera and block the wind. So there's audio. It's not costing us anything extra at this point in our list. Okay, now let's get to data. We can't stream without the data. If you go to a ballpark that gives the live streamers Wi-Fi access, that is wonderful. That is rare. That is the unicorn, as a matter of fact. And we've chosen to purchase a Wi-Fi only control device for the purposes of this list. So we're needing to invest in external data. Now, you can use your cell phone's hotspot plan. It's personal hotspot. You can tether your cell phone to your tablet, and you can get data in there in that way. That is an acceptable solution, and a lot of folks will start out that way. That's not my recommendation. That data plan oftentimes suffers, and so does the stream when that data plan suffers. It's for some reason, when I've done speed tests, the poorest upload speed that I get is from tethered data. If I'll use a hotspot, a dedicated hotspot. This is a Verizon. It's not their newest or greatest Verizon hotspot. This is called the Jetpack. I think it's a Inseego made. The model number is 8000 or 8800L. It's not new. It is an LTE device, but it's going to give you the external data you need to feed your live stream. It becomes its own little set of data that you can connect both your camera and your iPad to, and it works pretty well for that single camera setup. It is one source of data, but that's what you've got, and that's what you're going to work with. I will tell you a little secret about using LTE, though, because almost all current phones are 5G phones. So almost all current phones that will be at the ballpark will be hitting the 5G side of whatever cell tower you're all hitting. If you're hitting the LTE, the 4G side, you may run across a much less crowded situation for your upload speeds. And so you may actually get better upload because you're getting a bigger piece of the pie. You may get better upload out of 4G than you do out of 5G. That may be something to consider, whether you have a 4G or a 5G device, if you can switch it back to 4G if it's selectable. So this Jetpack from Verizon, if you're a Verizon user, is still a really good choice, and it is on Amazon today. Amazon renewed $35. Now that's no SIM card, that's no data plan. We're not talking data plan right now because that's an ongoing cost, not a startup cost, but it is something you'll have to budget at some point. And then if you're a T-Mobile user, then there is the Inseego MiFi hotspot. Verizon seems to call theirs Jetpacks, and T-Mobile seems to call theirs MiFis. I don't know what the difference is. It may just be a branding difference, but both these devices are built by Inseego. This is the model number M2000. It is a 4 or 5G device, and it is on Amazon renewed at $53 as of the date of the making of this video. Again, no SIM card, no data plan included. That's an extra cost that you'll have to budget for. I am looking at these two devices, and I'll tell you that there is a newer one of these that has an Ethernet jack in it, so you can plug this directly into something else if you're talking about expanding. And I'm looking at this one and remembering that it actually has 2 antenna ports, so you can use an external antenna with this one and increase your chances of having a good stream. So there are some little things about all of what we talk about that might be able to be improved, tweaked, upgraded just a little bit. But for now, we're talking about a $320 tablet, $199 or $250 camera. So $320 plus $200 is $520. We're talking about a $35 or $53. So $520 plus $53 is $575-ish. So we're at $575. We have our control device, our camera, and our data device purchased. Okay, there's only a couple of other things to consider, and we're about to have our mobile live streaming setup, single camera, ready to roll. And the last part of this list is going to include our mounting accessories. So if you're running that single camera setup, you have an option. You can run a boom arm tripod. They are really good for places that don't have a place to mount your behind the plate camera in that backstop. A lot of times you have a net and there's 2 poles that are way to the side of where you're really trying to mount, and so a tripod is the best thing for it. And you would really like to be able to scoot it close enough that that net is not just irritating everybody as you're trying to look through it. So a boom arm tripod is a really good choice if you're trying to get that single camera setup. And most boom arm tripods, the one that I keep in my Amazon affiliate link that's been there all this time for so many of my videos, is right at $100. You can sometimes find them for about $80, but we're going to call it $100. So we were at $575. Now we are at $675, and we have our mounting, we have our data device, we have our camera, and we have our control device. $675. That's going to leave us enough money to go ahead and buy a mini shotgun mic, to get some accessory that we might need to do this a little bit differently or a little bit better. The other option that we might have for mounting would be either the magnet mount, if you do have metal surfaces to mount to, about $30 for the magnet plus the little boom arm there, or the clamp mount, and this is also about $30. If you go that direction and you're not spending that $100 on a tripod that's got a boom arm, then you have even a little bit more money if you're staying under that $750 budget. But let's get back to our second option for cameras, because it's a little bit more expensive. The Mevo Start. This has been for a long time a $400 camera, twice the price of the eMeet StreamCam 1. They've come down in price, depending on when you find it on Amazon, to about $360, $355. It depends on I guess, who's selling it or when it's being sold or whatever. But you can go back to that Amazon Renewed. I've suggested Amazon Renewed for many of the products that I've listed today, and I love buying Amazon Renewed because it's got a great return policy, and so you can exchange it for another one. They stand behind their product, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But Amazon Renewed for a Mevo Start, as of the making of this video, is $260. So we're not that far off of our original $200 for the StreamCam 1 or the $250 for the StreamCam 1 Gen 2. So we're just getting to the $700 mark if we go with the Mevo Start over the eMeet StreamCam 1. And now let's talk about why you would choose one over the other. And let's kind of go ahead and nail down what that startup kit is going to look like. If it's me, I'm going with an iPad, and I'm going to splurge for the M2 iPad because it future-proofs me a little bit. $420. If it's me, I'm going with the Mevo Start, not because the camera is so much better, I don't think it is, but because the software is so much better. Both of them have software that will allow you to run a multi-camera setup when you get ready to upgrade, but the eMeet is a closed system. You can't bring another kind of camera in. Now, they do have either RTSP or RST or one of those protocols that will let you bring something else in. But most live streamers are not ready to start that when they're just starting out live streaming. So that's really not a consideration. We're talking about being able to add something simply, and there are too many great things you can add to the Mevo software, although it is a little bit of a subscription there as well. So you're going to be talking about a data subscription. You're going to be talking about maybe a Mevo software subscription that allows you to multi-stream, to bring in other cameras, other devices, the ability to run video alongside of your cameras or over the top of your cameras. There's a lot of good features in that Mevo software once you get the subscription included in it. But the software itself is just more polished. It's just more developed. And they do make better cameras than this one, although much more expensive cameras than this one. But that when you're ready to level up, when you're ready to go to the next level for your live stream setup, you can. And if you went ahead with the M2 processor, you've future-proofed that as well. You're ready to roll with a great multi-camera setup if you start out with the Mevo as your answer. If you're not going to do that, if you know you're only going to ever have one or two cameras, you don't need anything other than the eMeet StreamCam and it's 1080, you just want a couple of shots, maybe even just one, go with it. It's a good, inexpensive option. They have improved the image quality since it came out by leaps and bounds. They've done a wonderful job of tweaking the software so it makes all the use of the hardware that's in this device, and so I would say it's a good solution. It's just not going to future-proof you the way the Mevo Start is going to allow you to grow as your expertise, your confidence, your ability gets better throughout the live streaming that you do for your kids. I did a consultation just a couple of days ago with some folks who are streaming their kids' softball games, and they have the question, does Mevo allow the replay like we see that Mailbox do? They've been watching videos and they saw some features that were available. It may be on the horizon. We may see that at some point. I just don't know. I gave them my workaround. I said, here's what I do. I do have the subscription that allows me to bring in my cell phone. Whatever's showing on my cell phone, I can play in my Mevo live stream. And I do have that ability. So I'm going to pull up the game itself that I'm streaming to YouTube, and I'm going to have it playing on my phone. Right? It's just there. If I needed it, it's there. I'm watching. I maybe even using it to monitor what's happening on the very end, what end users are seeing. But if I see something that's good, I know that YouTube is going to be between 15 and 30 seconds behind whatever just happened. So if I see something that I want to replay, all I do is I tap in the Mevo software over to that phone, and it's 15 seconds behind, so it's automatically giving me a replay of what we just saw. So we even have some little workarounds that we can use to make our live stream even that much better. You tell me, is $750 a reasonable starting place to get to live stream? If you started with a different setup, what did you go with? Tell us where you started and where you are now. Love to have those conversations in the comments. I love to try to answer all those comments that are given and put my 2 cents in there as well. Let's see what the community has to say about where we start with mobile live streaming.